Good morning, children. Today I am going to continue with chapter 5, A Stormy Day. So, before I could continue, I would like to give you a little briefing about what we did in the previous class. Now, in the previous class, we have studied that Beauty, his master, and caretaker John, they all set out on a trip, and it had rained. They had a great deal of rain. Now, while they were on their journey, they came across a wooden bridge. Now, the river banks on the wooden bridge the water in the river banks were rising very fast, and all the meadows were covered with water. But still, they carried on and continued with their journey. Now, please pay attention while I read and explain the remaining chapter. As the master's business in the city kept him busy for long, we did not start for home till rather late in the afternoon. Now, as the master had a business meeting in the city, so it took a great deal of time. So they set out for home late in the afternoon. The wind then became much higher, and I heard the master say to John that he had never been out in such a storm. Then the weather was turning more bad at that time. Now this wind, it was a stormy day, as we know. When they set out of their house, it was a stormy day. But now the wind was turning more harsh. The wind was in a great force. And then the master told John that he had never been out in such a terrible storm. Beauty heard his master saying these words to John. As we went along the skirts of the wood, where the great branches were swaying about like twigs, and the rushing sound was terrible, I also thought the same. Now, as they came to the edge of the wood, they could see huge trees. Usually in the woods you find huge trees. And all these huge trees, the thick branches, the huge branches of the trees were swaying like twigs. Now twigs, you have seen a rose plant. Now the branches of the rose plants are very small, and thin. But these huge trees in the forest, they had thick branches, but they were swaying, they were moving like twigs. Now imagine the intensity of that storm and the intensity of that wind. I also thought the same. So when Beauty was moving across the wood, she was also thinking it was a terrible storm. The force of the wind and the pressure of the wind was very strong. I wish we were out of the wood, said my master. Then the master told John, I wish we were out of this wood as soon as possible. Why the master said this word? The master said this word because he was fearing, as these huge trees were swaying, the branches of these huge trees were moving so harshly that if any of these branches fall and break, as the huge trees of the branches were swaying, so the master was fearing if any of these branches break and fall, so they might get hurt, or they might hurt themselves, or the horse might hurt himself. Yes, said John, it would be rather awkward if one of these branches come down upon us. Then John, the caretaker, told his master, yes, if one of these branches break and fall, it would be very dangerous for us. The words were scarcely out of the mouth when there was a groan and a crack and a splitted sound. Then as John said this word, suddenly a branch broke and fell just near them, tore up the roots. An oak tree came tearing crashing down, and it fell right across the road just before us. As they were speaking, suddenly a big branch of a tree, that was of an oak tree, broke and fell just in front of them. I will never say I was not frightened. Then Beauty said to himself, I would never say that I was not frightened. Beauty also became frightened when that branch fell just near them. It never hurt, nobody got hurt. It was a narrow escape from them. For I stopped still, and I believed I trembled. Then as that oak tree, the branch of the oak tree fell, Beauty stopped at that very moment and started trembling, started shaking in fear. Of course, I did not turn around to run away. John jumped out and was in a moment by my side. Now, John knew when that oak tree, the branch of the oak tree fell, he jumped out from his cart and went to Beauty and tried to pat it to calm it down. But Beauty did not move forward, nor she felt a little scared. She was scared, but she was nervous at that time. So John got out from the cart and patted Beauty. Means try to relax Beauty. Well, sir, we can't drive across the tree nor get around it. There will be nothing for it but to go back. Then John said to the master, Sir, we cannot cross this huge branch of the tree or go around it, as the path was being blocked. So they decided to turn back again and take the same road by which they came. Now they came while they were coming to the town, they used the same bridge. So back we went and round by the crossroad. But by the time we got to the bridge, it was nearly very dark. Now again they turned back and crossed through the crossroad and came to the bridge. But by the time they reached the bridge, it was nearly very dark. It was turning very dark. We could just see the water was over the middle of it, but as that happened sometimes when the river was flooded, Master did not stop. Now when they came near the bridge, what did they see was that the water was nearly touching the middle of the bridge. In the middle, the water was nearly touching the middle of the bridge, but the master did not mind going through it because they had been using that bridge for quite a long time, and it had these things occurred quite often, so they never mind crossing the bridge. We were going along at a good pace, but the moment my feet touched the first part of the bridge, I felt sure there was something wrong. I dared not go forward and made a sudden stop. Now, as they had to turn around from the woods and come back again to the bridge, take another route to the bridge. It was turning quite dark, and it was quite dark. In fact, it became late in the evening, and they could barely see anything but the water level in the bridge. And they were moving at a good pace. They were moving at a good speed. And suddenly, when Beauty's foot touched the bridge, she sensed some kind of danger. And she refused moving forward. Suddenly, as they came across the bridge, and when Beauty's foot stepped on the bridge, on the first part of the bridge, he suddenly stopped over there and he sensed some kind of danger and he refused moving. Now the reason why he refused moving was he had an instinct like if we go across that bridge, there might be some kind of harm as the water level was rising very fast, and moreover the bridge was submerged, was covered with water in the middle. So Beauty refused to go or move forward. So children, I'll explain the remaining chapter in the next part of in the next class. Until then, thank you.